Texting. Hey, good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Mid-Sack on a Thursday morning, on the eve of, on the dawn of Game 6. Someday they'll write a novel, The Dawn of Game 6. Welcome back to the Mid-Sack. I am the highly questionable one, Arjun Miliaccio. This is IDD. For those of you that know, I don't disagree. Segment one, this will be brief because someone has to go to work in the morning, but it is early. Put it that way, boys and girls, and that's okay. Sometimes it's better to be early than late. So wanted to be early on this one because today might be the last day you see this for a while. There's a very good chance it will be. This is segment one, NBA recap. Just a quick recap before we get into the nitty-gritty for you Boston sports fans. The New York Knicks and the Golden State Warriors put on a pair last night, both of them, and staved off elimination. Granted, it was at home. But unlike this team, both of those did what they were supposed to do in Game 5, which was win, hold, serve. New York, after facing a ton of flack from the media after what Julius Randle said about how maybe Miami wanted it more, at least for one night, New York wanted it more. Randle, 24, 5 and 5. Jalen Brunson, son of Eric Brunson, Mass native from Salem, 38 points. R.J. Barrett, the Duke alum, 26 points. They showed up. So the Knicks will go down at least swinging, and given no one knew what they were going to do, or a lot of people had them playing, if they got to this round losing to Milwaukee, that was kind of the expectation. So if they go down 6, okay. It's not a bad season for them because their expectations really weren't that high. Second round playoffs is pretty good. And that's where they got to. So that would be about where the people thought they were going to end anyway. They all thought they could beat Miami. They underestimated Jimmy Buckets, but they held them in check at least for one night. So they will have Game 6. I believe that's tomorrow night, Friday night. So we'll see. But they took care of business down at the Garden there, 112-103. Out on the left coast last night, the defending world champion Golden State Warriors put the pause button on the end of the dynasty, taking care of business with the fake show, 121-106. Mr. Curry led the way. 27 points. Still a no-show from Klay Thompson, 10 points, but the others showed up there. So Golden State is still alive, which I thought they would be. So both of those series will be extended to Game 6, I think tomorrow night, Friday night, down in South Beach and Tinseltown, so we'll see. But those are going to be two games looking forward to seeing. Because whatever the Knicks have left, they're going to fight, I think, because Thibodeau's that dude. I don't think he's going to let these guys quit. And Jalen Brunson is that dude. He'll go down swinging, but he may go down, but he'll go down swinging. And the Warriors are champions. They've won 4 in the past 8 years. They will not go down without a fight. I can assure you of that. Which leads us into the Boston Celtics. Last night, as most of you may know, the NBA gave out its all-NBA first and second and third team winners or recipients. Congratulations to Jason Tatum for the second year in a row made all-NBA first team, which technically means he's one of the top 5 players in the world. Jaylen Brown made all-NBA second team, which would mean he is one of the top 10 players in the world. So congratulations to both of them for that honor. That's not easy to do. Last time Boston had 2 guys that high in 1 year was Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. Okay? So there's another notch on their belt if you want to call it that. But the real notch is the banners. Before this series started, I had predicted Boston in 6 or 7 because they're Boston. Should they have beat this team in 5? Technically, they should have swept them. I thought they should have beat them in 5 before the series. But I said 6 or 7 because Boston's going to do what Boston does. Well, Boston is done what Boston does. So here we are on the brink of a team with 2 of the top 10 players in the world about to go home. Can they win this game tonight? Absolutely. They're one of the best road teams in the NBA. They have been over the past couple of years. But for that to happen, a couple things are going to need to happen tonight. Forget about Joel Embiid for a second, because that's where everybody's head is going here, and that's the wrong way to go. Because if you look at the history of Joel Embiid versus the Celtics, he's averaged like 34 points a game. So he's used to going off against Boston. But his record against them is 10 and 12. So the stats tell you Joel Embiid is not Joel, Boston's kryptonite. No. Joel Embiid's a great player who is deserving of the MVP award. He's playing like it. But Boston doesn't need to stop Joel Embiid to beat Philadelphia. However, Boston does need to stop Philly's backcourt, Harden and Maxey. Now, off the top of my head here, if you're looking at the stats of just this series, in 2 of the 3 wins, Maxey has had, in game 1, 26 points, which when Philly stole home court and Boston didn't show up, as usual, because Embiid didn't play. They took their foot off the gas and they gave one away. That was the first one. And then in game 5, where they didn't show up at all, and just kept hoisting threes for whatever stupid, trying to break whatever the record was. I don't know what it was, but they didn't break it. But he had 30 points. So contrast that when they won, game 3, when Embiid had 30 and 13 and Boston won, and they held him, in the teens, and same with Harden. They locked Harden down games 2 and 3, and that's why they won. And they shut Maxey down in those games. That's why they won. So the key to tonight starts, as always, on the defensive end. You've got to lock down Philly's backcourt. Boston has more than enough talent on the wings defensively. And by the way, kudos to Derek White, who made All-NBA defensive second team, and Marcus Smart won defensive. They've got the people. And then you throw in Tatum and Brown and Broad. They've got the people on the perimeter to stop these two. So it starts right there. You must not let James Harden even think of being comfortable tonight if you are Joe Mazzulla. It starts right there. And you're going to know this early. If he's coming off that high screen and roll and he's left one-on-one with Horford or the Time Lord or any other big for that matter by himself, and he is not forced to give that ball up, and the defense rotate off the help side, you're going to know right now they're in for trouble. So we're going to look at what Joe Mazzulla is going to do in terms of adjustments. Offensively speaking, I don't care that Joel Embiid is in the paint. And the Celtics shouldn't either, because the Celtics have more than enough slashers to challenge him. And yeah, he's going to block some shots. That's okay. But you must keep going to the paint and being aggressive. When Boston is at its best is when they get dribble penetration from all their guys in the perimeter. And if they're not finishing at the rim or getting fouled, they're kicking out to open three-point shooters who are in rhythm and stepping into that shot. So I'm not saying don't shoot the three. I'm saying be smart about it, especially Marcus Smart. Don't pull an Al Horford where you miss 4 in a row and decide to, or say to yourself or think to yourself, the next 3 I think are going to go, and then you end up 0 for 7 and your team's in the toilet and your season's over. Don't make that mistake tonight. Your coach warned you not to fall in love with the 3. That went public before this series started. So if they're going to win tonight, those are the things they're going to have to do. Defensively, lock down Harden and Maxey, because those are the 2 that have really killed you. Embiid's going to do what Embiid's going to do. Obviously, you make him work for it. But if Embiid gets 35, that's not going to be the kiss of death tonight. It's going to be, tomorrow morning, it's going to be what did Harden and Maxey do? And now here's the problem for the Celtics. And you've heard, if you follow the game the way I do, or you have the experience I have from having played in college and coached for 25 years, off and on. At the high school, AAU, camps level, I worked Red Auerbach's camp. I worked Dave Cowens' camp. I worked Don Nelson's camp. These are Hall of Famers. These are the men that taught me how to play the game. They've got rings like you read about. They are the big part of the Celtics dynasty. In these games, in the playoffs, Shaquille O'Neal refers to them as the others. The others in this case would be Tobias Harris and P.J. Tucker on the bench, that kid Nanang or whatever his name is, who Joel loves. These 3 guys, in a game like this at home, at least on Philadelphia, because other teams have guys like this, are the ones that usually go off because they're home in game 6 or game 3 or whatever. The others usually show up at home. On the road, not so much. This is where Boston blew a golden opportunity, because those guys don't play as well on the road. But at home, they show up. So Boston is truly going to have to bring their A game tonight in every facet. Because those 3 at home, like every other team in the NBA that's gotten this far, has the others, as Shaq refers to them, that need to step up and are capable at home of doing that and delivering the dagger. Boston must play from in front. Okay, they've proven they can do that on the road. They must play from in front. And whenever Philly makes their runs, Boston must quell them, not by pulling up and jacking the first open three you see, but by going to the basket and getting these guys, getting them in foul trouble and living at the line and making your damn foul shots. Okay? So up until game 4 and 5, Boston was shooting, I think, over 90% from the foul line. And in those 2 games, they missed 6 and 8 free throws, which they both lost. That's 14 free throws in 2 games. From a team that many consider to be the most talented in the league. Before this series started, Joel, every ESPN expert, every basketball, had Boston winning this series in 6 or 7. Every damn one of them, except for Philadelphia beat writers. Everybody outside of Philly had Boston winning. That's why this is such a shock. And now that Brown and Tatum have made All-NBA first team and second team respectively, now you know why. Okay? And this, tonight, Boston's dynamic duo must be just that. They both must be over 30 points. They both must be attacking. They both must be aggressive from the jump. We can't have 3 minutes to go in the first half and Jason Tatum hasn't got a basket yet. That can't happen tonight. Okay? They've got to play smart. You can't get stupid fouls 35 feet from the basket when you're in the guy's face already. Don't commit stupid fouls and get into foul trouble. And Joe Mazzulla must not be afraid to use his bench. They've got a bench. They've got arguably the best bench in the NBA. So why are you afraid to use it? I mean, you might as well. Right, this is it. Your season's on the line. You pull out all the stops tonight. You know, Hauser and Pritchard and those boys and Blake. Where's Blake Griffin been this whole series? What the hell did you get him for? To sit there and take pictures? I mean, use your bench. Use them. You have more manpower than Philadelphia. Do not be afraid to use your bench. You really haven't the entire series. So those are the key to victory. And yeah, you didn't hear me say don't shoot the 3, but what I am going to say is don't live by the 3. Because as the cliche goes, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And if Boston dies tonight, that will be why. Okay? If Boston dies tonight, it'll be because Maxey and Harden went off. And the others went off. Or the others. Boston has to lock everybody down tonight. It's game 6, and somebody on that Philly team besides Embiid is going to step up. Okay? And you have to hope, if you're a Celtics fan, that the Celtics are aware of this. And Marcus Smart. For all the crap I give you, deep down I love you because you're at your core, when you're on your game, you're one of the best defensive players I've ever seen. And that's coming from a guy who prided himself on defense when he played. And my theory was the only way you're scoring off me is if you come off 2 screens. I'll get through the first one, but you might get me a staggered screen or a double screen. I might not get through that. But that's the only way you're scoring on me. And if your help defense is set up right, they're going to switch off that anyway. But Marcus Smart, for the love of God, you need to be the guy that won that award last year. You need to be the catalyst, and not on your three-point shooting. On the defensive end, you just set a tone early. He used the term war. I hate when athletes do this. Because it's not a war, boys and girls. But in the sporting competitive sense, it can feel like that. Okay, Marcus. Giving you the benefit of the doubt, okay? If you're going to use that term, Mr. Smart, you better damn well back it up. So what does war mean in the context of the NBA playoffs? It means that every loose ball is yours. Every rebound is yours. Every shot is contested. Nobody, you get in the lane, someone goes in the lane, they're going to pay for it, okay? If that is what he is referring to, which I hope is what he meant, then you better back it up. And don't be afraid of foul trouble. The ball. This is, I said earlier in the year, and I'll say it again. This is the deepest basketball team I have ever seen in this league. They are legitimately 12 deep. Don't worry about foul trouble tonight. Don't. Play everybody, empty the tank. If you're going to die, as Troy Aikman once said famously, I love this line, I'm going to die with no bullets in my gun. Joe Mazzulla, for the love of Peter, Mary, and Paul, no bullets left in the gun tonight. None. Because you guys put yourself in this position. Let's be clear here. You did this to yourselves. Joel doesn't get it because he doesn't know basketball. He's a fan, and I get that, but he doesn't know basketball. He's proven it with a number of the crap he has spewed on this mic. You've heard him. You've laughed at him like I have. And he's great. He's a great guy, and I love him. But congratulations to his daughter, Bella, by the way, who got a scholarship to Wyoming. My dad's alma mater, by the way. Congratulations. I'm not going to forget that, by the way. Great job, Ella. Very happy for you, hon. I've never even met the girl, but so happy for her and for his family. That's great. Congratulations, Joel. But when it comes to basketball, Joel just doesn't get it. And that's fine. He didn't play the game like I did. He didn't coach the game like I did. He's a fan. I get it, okay? And he thinks that Philly's being discredited here. No, Philly's a very good team. But Philly was third in the East for a reason, because the team they're playing right now was second. And the team they're playing going into this series had won 9 of the last 10 times they faced Philly, and the one time Philly won, Embiid had 52 points. It was at home. Jaylen Brown and Al Horford didn't play, and Philly won at the buzzer 103-101. That's how deep the Boston Celtics are. They could be missing 2 starters. Embiid could score 50 points, and it would take a game-winning shot at home for Philly to actually beat Boston. That's how deep the Boston Celtics are. And that's why every analyst, from Riddick to freaking Legler to anybody, the meat puppets there on First Take, freaking Stephen A. Smith, who I love, and God love him, Mad Dog. Everybody picked Boston. Okay, Magic Johnson, in the great. This is how ridiculous. Magic Johnson has come forward and called out Missoula for the coaching or lack of coaching in this series, and how Doc Rivers is undressing him basically, which he has been. And Joe Mazzulla, if you're the prideful guy that everybody says you are, you want to do something about it. Don't sit in front of a microphone and get defensive. Coach. Freaking coach. And don't coach even a high school coach would know how to do half the stuff you're missing, which is ridiculous given you're at the NBA level. Okay? And I don't care about the relationships you've cultivated with these guys. Between you and I and the rest of the world, I think that's good. But when it comes to this right now, they don't need a friend. They need a coach. They don't need their best buddy. They're patting him on the back and say, it's okay, man. These things happen. No. A team that is 12 deep historically does not happen in this league. A team with 2 guys rated as 2 of the top 10 players in the world doesn't happen. Okay? It happens once in a generation. And when it does, that team usually wins multiple championships. This team has been to 1 final. And these guys are still young. So they have experience. They've been to 4 Eastern Conference Finals and finals. This is not a team that's wet behind the ears. They have more experience than Philly does by far. Okay? So that's the other reason everybody had picked Boston before this series started. But most of them had Boston in 6 or 7. Well, here we are. Doesn't matter how you got here. Because we can sit there and go back and rehash all that bullshit till the cow. That doesn't matter anymore. What matters is, what are you going to do right now? You can still win this series. You can still win the championship. Or you can be the Boston Bruins. I would strongly suggest not being the Boston Bruins. But the Boston fan base is not going to take 2 of these in the same season well. They're not handling the Bruins well. And why would they? They shouldn't. That was a historically great team that went down the tubes because they didn't have what it took when it mattered most to even get out of the first round. And the NHL is very hard to win. I mean, history will tell you that. The last 10 President Trophy winners, which means that's given to the team in the NHL with the most, that has the best record, the most points. The last 10 of them, counting this year's, has not won the Stanley Cup. So they were fighting a lot of demons in that league. Okay, but there was no team that was as good as the Bruins were, at least on paper, ever. So that's a gut punch to the Boston fan base. If Boston goes down tonight, that's like when Ivan Drago knocked out Apollo Creed and killed him. Okay? This will kill their fan base. And I know because I'm one of them. And so I said when this segment started, you may not see this hat again for a while if they go down tonight. And I'm predicting they are going to go down tonight. Does that mean I think they can't win? Would I be shocked if they win? Nope. Because I predicted 6 or 7 before. Well, why aren't you sticking with your pick is what the popular question will be. I'll tell you why I'm not sticking with my pick. Okay? Because they're still stubborn, they're still arrogant, and they're still stupid. They being the Boston Celtics. And until I see those 3 things go away, and this team eats some humble pie, which it's still, I mean, for a team that lost at home the way they lost, I've been a lot of yapping past 36 hours. I don't know why, for the love of Christ, the Boston Celtics feel they need to talk right now. You need to shut up, go in the locker room, lock the door, put on the tape, and figure out how to win. Okay? And I just gave you the keys to winning without even looking at the tape, because I don't need to look at the tape. I've coached this game forever. I've played this game forever. And I know what your talent level is. I know what you need to do to win. Okay? Defense and fundamentals. And when I say defense, Embiid's going to get his. Stop the other 2. Starting with Harden and Maxey. Stop those 2. And in this series, it's proven. You win. Okay? And don't let the others go off. I mean, they're going to hit. PJ Tucker's going to make a 3 tonight, probably a big one. Tobias Harris is going to post somebody up or get in the lane. They're going to do their things, but limit them. Limit them. And offensively, go to the paint and attack this team. Attack this team from the jump and never take your foot off the gas. If you are a championship team, which you in your minds at least believe you are, because God knows you've been hearing about it the past 36 hours, then play like one. Otherwise, shut up, enjoy your tea times this offseason, and don't ever, compare yourself to the greatness of the Boston Celtics, because you're not in that club. You only get in that club by hoisting a banner. And until you hoist a banner, you aren't in that club. You are the others. You will go down as the deepest team in NBA history that folded. That will be your legacy if you lose tonight. I want that to be very clear. You will go down as the deepest team in the history of this league. And I'm not the only one who has said that. Bob Ryan has said it. And you folded like a cheap suit. You had home court advantage in this series. Their best player didn't even play in game one, and you still lost this series. That will be your legacy. And Joe Mazzulla, for the love of, if you want to keep that job, and if Brad Stevens is smart, if you lose a search, you're out. You're gone. You're back to the bench. You're either an assistant or you're somewhere else. You're demoted. But Brad Stevens can't possibly keep you as head coach if you don't win the championship this year, because everything is set up for you to win. You have by far the better team on paper. And you're about to go down to a team with 3 players, really. 4 players. Okay, if you count Tobias Harris. So don't let that happen for your sake. Okay, because I'll just sit here tomorrow night on Friday, because we're going to do a show tomorrow night. The Redouble won't be back, and I'm going to sit there and go, told you. Too stubborn, too arrogant, and still too stupid. That's segment 1, boys and girls. We're back, segment 2, Boston Red Sox. Hey, there is something to smile about in Beantown this morning. Talk to you on the other side.